Hey, Stephanie, do you have your certificate of election? Everybody ready to get rolling? I know I'm the only one without a mask on, but it's really difficult to talk through this N95. So good evening, everybody. This is the board reorganization meeting. It's a little after 6 o'clock. I'd like to open the meeting with a pledge to the flag and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Bream. Mr. Francis. Mr. Hoff. Mr. Hoover. I'm sorry, this is an old one. It wasn't updated. Mrs. Irwin Adams. Here. Mr. Johnston. Mrs. McGinnis. Dr. Malloy.
Here.
Okay, I do have an announcement. I believe everybody's aware that Sharon Bream resigned from the Board of School Directors effective December 5th, which was last evening. Action to approve the resignation will be on the agenda tonight. She did correspond with Dr. Priatel. According to the letter, that became effective upon her notification to Dr. Priatel. All right, at this point in time, trying to move it along as quickly as possible. It's time for a temporary president. I know in the past, we've usually had the solicitor serve in that capacity. I'm not going to question the wisdom or the legality of that issue, but I assume we're going to go with me, or are we going to have?
I nominate Carl Beard as a temporary chair.
Okay.
I second.
Any other motions or nominations? Anybody?
Move nominations to be closed.
Okay. Okay.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. All right. Thank you very much. At this point in time, there'll be a swearing in of the new school board members. I believe you have your certificate of elections. I am not a notary. I might be a lawyer, but right now the notary has more power than I do. She has the same amount of powers as a judge or a district magistrate to swear you in, and it's far more legal under the school code than if I do it.
Okay, we could have Mr. Francis please stand, Mr. Mignon please stand, Mrs. McGinnis please stand, Mrs. Irwin Adams please stand, and Mr. Greenwood please stand. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Thank you. If you would each come over and sign the oath of office as well. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Congratulations to all the new board members and for getting sworn in and making sure you have everything in order for purposes of, getting back to the elections, folks. It says on here for informational only list of board members. We will have a list and it'll also be placed on the website. So anybody can find out who their board members are and they need to contact or reach out to them. At this point in time, we're going to go to that stage in the process where will be an election of officers. We'll need, actually tonight, we'll elect both a president and a vice president. So at this point in time, I would open nominations for board president candidate.
I'd like to nominate Frank Malloy.
Okay,
I second it.
all right. Any other nominations? Well, if not, do I hear a motion to close the nominations?
Move nominations be closed.
Okay, nominations have now been closed, even though that's a foregone conclusion. We would like to have a roll call vote to approve Dr. Malloy as the board president.
Is this for 1 year or for 2 years?
2 years. Every year, but,
But I know last time I nominated somebody, it caused a stir
well,
after first year.
the thing, I explained it before, years ago, probably about 25, 30 years ago, we had a board member who was constantly president. And some things happened that shouldn't have happened in the district. People got bids that shouldn't have got bids and different things like that. So we decided that the length of the officers is 2 years consecutive. Frank will serve a consecutive 2-year term, and whoever is vice president will serve a consecutive 2-year term. And that's why we have it.
And then does the vice president automatically move to the president?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't agree with that. I mean,
Well,
is
you know-
that written?
No, it's not written. It's just a board rule. It's been going on for about, that's fine. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it.
Okay,
It's something that keeps the integrity of the board alive,
okay.
where
So
no one person gets too powerful.
okay, so we can have an election
You
next
most
year.
certainly you can.
So at this point in time, is this for a 1 or a 2-year term as the? as
Well,
the-
you nominate them every year. So it's
Okay.
1 year.
Okay. All right, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Francis, Mr. Hoff,
No.
Mr. Greenwood, Mrs. Irwin Adams.
My vote's no, but I'd like to say something since I didn't have really a chance, if that's okay.
Sure.
I just want to say that Dr. Malloy, as a professional and as an educator, there is no question that he was phenomenal. He was a great mentor to my husband. And I think, it's without question, his role as an assistant superintendent was wonderful. My no vote here tonight has to do with his role as school director. And I think that there has been a lack of transparency between the administration and Dr. Malloy with the rest of the board. And so I don't feel that it's in my good judgment to vote yes. So I hope that we can change that.
Okay. Next person up, next roll call person is?
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinnis.
Yes.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
passes 6-2.
Okay, congratulations, Dr. Malloy. You want to take over as vice president? Run it again? Okay, do we have any nominations for vice president at this time?
I'd like to nominate Val.
Okay,
Second.
all right. All right, so we have a nomination. It's also been seconded and closed. Once again, if we could have a roll call vote.
Mr. Francis, Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston, Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinnis. Dr. Malloy.
Yes.
Okay, congratulations to both. At this point in time, turn it over to Dr. Malloy to carry out the rest of the meeting.
Excuse me. The only business item we have for this part of the meeting is the approval of our 2022 school board meeting schedule. So could we have a motion to approve that schedule? Is there a second? I'll second it. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Okay, that concludes this part of the meeting. So we will call for an adjournment, but we need to go to a brief executive session. Okay. Okay. Do our board photo first and then go to an executive session. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. No, excuse me, not a roll call vote, a roll call of members. Here. 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 Okay. The first item of business is to accept the resignation of Sharon Green. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion? Those in favor, respond by saying aye. Aye. Okay, we have, unfortunately, two of our family members or staff members have passed. And one of them, Heather Gailey, we have this resolution. And whereas on November 30th, 2021, death claimed the life of Heather Marie Gailey. And whereas she has served the Altoona School District as a teacher since August 27, 2001, and whereas her care, compassion, and commitment to students has enhanced the quality of her education programs and missions, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of School Directors of the Altoona Area School District, Altoona, Pennsylvania, at the regular meeting held December 6, 2021, duly notes the death of Heather Marie Gailey with deep regret and hereby extends sincere and heartfelt sympathy to her bereaved family, and further directs that a duly executed copy of this resolution be recorded in the official minutes and a copy be delivered to her family. So could we have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and all in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We also have another member of our family, Miss Debbie Church. So it is with deep sadness that we acknowledge the death of Miss Debbie Church, who passed away on November 26, 2021. Miss Church was employed by the city of Altoona as a school crossing guard. The school crossing guard can be a thankless position at times, but Debbie always had a smile on her face and took pride in ensuring the safety of all those who needed to cross traffic. She was well respected by the Altoona Police Services for the job she performed. She will be sorely missed. Our condolences to her fiance, Glenn, who is also a school crossing guard, and her entire family. So now please join us in a moment of silence for both Heather and Debbie. May they rest in peace.
I just wanted to add something. I think just personally, I didn't know Heather personally, but I hope her family was able to see the outpouring of good words and just what a blessing she was to our school district. So I do want to address that. I hope her family is able to know how appreciated she was here in the school district.
Okay, now we have hearing from citizens. So we would have citizens addressing the board to please state your name and also your address or that you're a resident of the school district. We have the right to limit time, and your time frame in which you can make your comments will be 5 minutes. So is there anybody on our list wishing to address the board? You certainly can, Dan.
Yeah, my name is Dan Casey, 417 North 12th Avenue. And I want to direct this to Dr. Piatel so you can pass it on to the powers to be, that them kids Saturday night were nothing but outstanding, and the public recognized it too with their applause. Then I was saddened to see, and I talked to Doug about a situation that I seen up in the auditorium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Hi, my name is Janelle Yurdy. I'm a Altoona Area School District resident and taxpayer and mother of 2 kids in the school district. I've talked to you before. I'm here to approach the same subject. I know there's new members on the board. New board members and returning board members. Notice how difficult it was for the attorney to speak with his mask on. Is it hard to imagine that teachers and students feel the same way for 6.5 hours every single day while they're trying to learn an education? No, it is accurate to say they feel the exact same way. I urge you to bring the mask policy back on the agenda. We have lost our footing on reality, and we continue to make decisions based upon plausibility rather than data, like the hospitalization rate among children, which is strikingly zero, low, null. Students, parents, and guardians, not school board members or lawyers, should be responsible for choosing for a child to wear a mask during school. It should be their choice. You might wonder why I feel the urge to speak at every meeting. Simply put, if I do not continue to speak out against your current policy, nothing will change, and your overstep of authority will become accepted norm. I fear what you will decide next for my children who have a right to go to a public school. The board is leaving the masking decision to Harrisburg and has washed their hands of this decision out of fear. Fear for being sued. Quite frankly, you all chose to run and be on this board. I watched you sign yourselves up to lead. Leaders do not make decisions based upon fear. Leaders make decisions based upon data, facts, reality. Get masking back on the agenda. Put the decision to mask back in the hands of students, parents, and guardians. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else wishing to address the board? Okay, we now will move on to the next part of the agenda, which would be someone else coming? Okay.
So, sorry, just let me catch my
Okay,
breath for a
please state your
second.
name and your address, please.
Crystal Oaks, Altoona, Pennsylvania. So obviously you can see I'm running a little late, but I wanted to first thank the previous board members and welcome the new board members. Also, I just want to, how can I say this politely? So we all know that we have a fight on our hands. We know which board members stood with us, parents, teachers, and those in the community. I hope the new board members look back at this previous year and realize that the parents will fight for our children, regardless of the decisions that some of the board members make and the school district makes that think that they're making the best interest in for our students and our children. It's not always true. For example, just recently, the CTC was on lockdown. Several students were locked out on the street with no direction whatsoever. There was no communication whatsoever with the parents, with the students in regards to that situation. None. I know Dr. Priatel strives on communication and being open to the parents and things like that, but you're only giving us information that you want us to know. That information is something that parents need to know. We need to know how you're keeping our children safe, and locking them out because CTC was on lockdown. You guys are only a block apart. That communication between you guys should be open completely, always. There's no reason those students should have been out there. And the effects that you're giving to these students on the decisions that you're making, you only care about it when it comes back on you guys. You have to realize that the decisions that you're making might not affect you directly and immediately, but they're going to affect everybody. And they're going to affect these students and these parents in the long run in regards to how they make decisions and voting you guys in. You're here to serve us. And you need to all remember that as new members and old members that have been reelected. You're here to serve us as well as the administrator of this district. And I just hope that you all take into consideration and actually carefully listen to the parents that come. And we're not just speaking for ourselves when we come here. There's many, many parents that are afraid to come up because of repercussions that can occur onto their students. And it falls on us as parents to prove that those situations are occurring. Whether we address them with you guys and bring it to your attention, nothing occurs. Nothing is happening or nothing's being addressed. It's up to us as parents to prove that that's happening. Then you guys want to do something. That's not how you should be acting. As parents, if our child comes to us and says there's a situation, we have to come out and address that issue. But you guys don't want to unless we can prove it. And that doesn't reflect goodly or at all, onto you guys. You guys are there to help us. We're not here to help you. You should be there to help us and the students. And as for this last year and the beginning of this year, I don't see any of it. I don't see how any one of you, I shouldn't say any one of you, we know who stands with us as parents and who stands for their freedom and their rights as individuals. But at the same time, I don't see how as a whole, you guys are helping anybody. And I hope that change starts now. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll now move to item number 5, policy. The minutes from the regular school board meeting of November 8th, 21. We would need a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Next, policy. This is the first reading of a policy dealing with drug and alcohol testing for student athletes. Okay, so this is the first reading. 6, education. We'll try to lump these together. First one is volunteer approval, changes to secondary student code of conduct. C, secondary field trips. D, volunteer approval. E, site permission for an individual completing their doctoral studies. Any of these you want to vote on separate? Okay, then is there a motion? Ron, did you have one? Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of these items, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Personnel. Under personnel, we have as our first item, which is not on the agenda. And this is a motion to authorize the issuance of a statement of charges against employee number 001, a professional employee extending an opportunity for hearing under section 1127 of the Public School Code of 1949 as amended, and further authorize the board president and board secretary to sign, name, and serve notice upon the employee of such an entitlement to a hearing. In doing so, the board believes there is sufficient evidence to support its belief that a statement of charges should be issued to afford notice to the employee and an opportunity for hearing. And since this item was not on our agenda, is there anybody wanting to make public comment about this? Dan?
Just exactly what do you mean by that, Doctor?
It's a personnel item, Dan, that we really can't get into detail.
I understand
It's a
that.
procedural thing that we as a board have to do to,
I understand, but if it goes deep enough, will it be available to the public?
we would have to address that to the solicitor.
The answer is no. When a statement of charges is issued, Dan, the employee has an option to elect under the collective bargaining agreement, grievance arbitration, were to have a hearing before the Board of School Directors. If that employee would opt to have a hearing before the Board of School Directors, it could be either public or private. It's their choice. If they elect it to be a public hearing, we would hold it in a more contained area, but the public could come and hear it. But it's the employee that gets the option of whether they want a public or private hearing. So the
Okay.
answer would be no, just out of a general right to know request. You won't be able to ascertain that. If the employee says, I want a public hearing, yes, then you and the public would know about it.
So you're saying when it goes public or private, it was just like the situation here a few years ago about the co-chair. It was a female coach, and then it went from private to criminal. Then once it goes to criminal, then it's public, right?
Well, in this case, it's administrative charges against the employees, so they get to opt. Under the school code, there's a section 1133. It says, I got this statement of charges. I can ask for the board to hear it, or I can go collective under the collective bargaining agreement. And that's pretty much the only option the employee has. It's door number one or door number two.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, any other public comment on this particular item? If none, we would need a motion for approval. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Ron, any further discussion? We'll need a roll call vote.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Next, we have personnel items. Personnel items are listed on a separate agenda. We have a memorandum of understanding between the school AASD, AAEA, and employee of the AASD for hearing support instruction. We have an established new rate, and this is a rate for stage managers, an hourly rate of $27 per hour for the 21-22 school year. Could we have a motion on these? And Ron?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second, any that you want to pull and do separate? Okay, those in favor respond, excuse me, discussion, I'm sorry.
So the new rate for the stage manager and the sound and light technician,
Yes.
will that be an option for students to participate? Because I know in other districts, they allow student participation, kids can be trained on it and then actually get paid for the duty.
It would not be done with this. If there was the answer to that is no. We're hiring a professional to run sound for this person would be hired by the groups. If the chorus needs a soundboard person to run a concert, the current practice is they hire a person because people have shifted positions and there are other people who would like to do those jobs or creating a rate. And then the band can choose who they want to hire. The orchestra, of course, can choose who they want to hire. The people doing different productions can, and likewise outside groups then can hire someone who's professionally certified to basically oversee the operations of the light board and the soundboard in the individual buildings.
I mean, my curiosity is that our daughter used to do this, that she would get paid to do it for other organizations at her school.
We can explore under school to career. So we have students that we actually hire. I know Mr. Coster's department hires students that are in school to career that work with the technology department. Similarly, we can look at hiring students at a student rate that we utilize under school to career. That's a great idea. That's something we can look at.
She had to go through a lot of training, but then even automatically, we hired out for to do productions from other, like, a dance recital coming in and doing like that.
A lot of our systems, they have to be certified, like they have to be certified, trained on the rigging, on the lighting, on the sound, that I think might have age restrictions.
The
Bryce, am I right?
complexities of these systems, I don't know if she did it in the elementary school, these are a lot more complicated. She could be trained to be an assistant, but that's something we'd be looking at down the road. At this point, we need to have someone who's trained and knowledgeable, who create a pool of people who can actually assist and provide that service.
This is actually my 23-year-old that lives in Fairfax.
Well, that's a different game.
But I'm saying, as a student, she was, and that is her career now. So, I mean, I just think it would be something that if we could look into, would, I would love.
I'll give you an
We have-
example. Like, we do have students that are working in school to career that do our Chromebook help desk. So like, we do have opportunities within the district for current students to be able to be employed under the school to career program. So yes.
I have one question on the, that light board. Was that money ever a third of the money ever transferred from the boosters to?
Yes.
Okay.
That was taken care of, yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on these items? All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Business operations, we have a vending services request for proposal. That's item number A. We have authorization of payments, B, yearbook request for proposal, C, capital reserves list of payments, D, electronic equipment request for proposal, E, internet research services request for proposal, F, a building of a roof, the building of building A building roof replacement as G. Any you want to take separate? G, okay. G, right. My hearing is going, that's one of. Okay,
Can I explain that one? Because you might not need to take it separately. We have an opportunity. The board has already approved the replacement of the roof of on the A building. We may have an opportunity, if possible, to run it through the federal COVID monies and pay for it that way. So we're looking at that option. We're asking for permission to pursue that. So basically, if that occurs, it will save the capital fund approximately $1 million, and it'll come out of the COVID CARES / ARP money. Okay.
still want to do that separate, Ron?
My question was, when they were putting the air handlers on the roof, was the roof disturbed by the air units put up there and the workers up there on the roof? Okay, it's just a question. Thank you.
Okay, so you still want to vote on that separate, Ron?
No,
Include it with
I'm
the group.
okay.
Okay,
That was explained very well.
so we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
Depends on how long contract.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Number 9, facilities and maintenance. We have the Juniata facade improvements. We have elementary facade improvements for where we're being asked to recommend approval of Weber Murphy Fox to proceed with design for replacement of all doors, windows, and caulking at Evner McCullough Heights, Juniata Gap, and Lincoln School. Cost not to exceed $100,000 paid from ESSER funds.
I need to make a correction to that, to B. I thought this was copied, evidently it wasn't. We are seeking quotes from engineering firms, not just Weber Murphy Fox.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
we're
we-
seeking quotes for that.
We will be seeking, we will be basically doing an RFP to get quotes on the engineering / bidding process for those 4 buildings.
Still with the $100,000 ceiling?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then we have Mansion Park field lighting. And this is, Facilities Committee recommends that we seek advertising for requests for proposals for new lighting at Mansion Park. So we have those 3 items. Anyone you want to take separate? Is there a motion, Ron?
I like to separate 9 and 9A and B
9A.
and C. I like to talk a little bit about
A
that
and
also.
C, okay. Okay, let's go then to A. Is there a motion on A? Juniata? improvements. Is there a second? Okay, now discussion.
People would like to see in board members pictures of these bad windows, or there's some bad windows there. Yeah, there's some bad windows there. And, I know there's one that has a hole in it. You can throw a golf ball through it. Well, I just don't know about all the windows. It's like every time we go to school, it's windows. I just like to see some pictures. This day and age with technology, people, like they need to see pictures of the damage. That's all I got to say on A. I mean, it's like, are all of them bad? No, I was through them. No, some are bad. Some are worse than other ones, but there's some are okay, but that's just.
With this item, this is where we approved to go to the bidding process. So this would be awarding the bid. And I don't know how we would, is this something that you're suggesting we put on hold or that we proceed with?
No, I say proceed with it. I have questions for the other.
Okay. All right. So we had a motion for to approve this in a second. Any other discussion for item A? Letter A. And this is to award the bid, and this would go to J.C. Orr & Son.
I'm looking out for the teachers too. We don't have a teacher contract. This is something that could be put on hold and get the teacher contract settled and get it out of the way and then go to matters like this. My opinion.
Ron, we're taking this from the ESSER's CARES funds. It's part of the envelope issues. I believe the windows in the building are how old?
Installed in 82.
In 82. So we're talking about a 30-year-old installation. They're single pane. This is going to be a strong improvement. It's going to save us money from a heating and cooling standpoint. And on top of that, we have structural issues with these that was reviewed by the facilities committee, and it needs to be done.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Do you want to do a roll call vote?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. B, the elementary projects at the schools that we talked about here. And this would be to seek RFPs on the engineering process.
Yes.
Is there a motion on that? Is there a second? I'll second. Discussion.
Yeah, let me chime in with this. They're doing more schools, I think. Is it legal to have a base bid not to exceed $100,000 for every school's different? You don't know what the bid will be for each school, what the engineering cost will be. And I'm just saying to do this is illegal, even though it's a service. But I think it's just illegal the way the process is set up.
I don't believe it's illegal, but I do believe it's problematic because you don't know what you're going to, what all it's going to entail for each building. I think as this goes off, it's like anything else, the RFP process, Eric knows about it. You can have requests for information, you can have inquiries that can go to Doug and things like that. It may turn out that all the engineering companies come back and say, due to the extent of it, we can't get it done for that. We're going to have to go over it. And then the question is, everybody has to be on the same equal footing. Hopefully, somebody will come in and say they can do it for all, but you should be able to flush that out, particularly if they're already familiar or they're going to do a walk through the buildings. And I don't know how that's going to unfold because I don't attend a facility meeting, so.
Like each bit could be different and each cost could be different. You know, you're rolling the dice to say $100,000. It may be over, it may be under, but I'm just saying, I just think it's unethical. I still think it doesn't adhere to the code of the bid or service.
Well, it's a professional service, so it's not a bid, it's an RFP process.
I don't think, I think it's illegal what we're doing with the base bid of $100,000.
My question to you, Dave, would be this. If we remove that, but just say we're going to go out to RFP to get numbers to bring back to the board, it serves the same purpose.
I agree with that. That's more ethical. I think you're going with each individual school instead of collectively. You're going with one bid in the hoping that $25,000 school for each contract.
Who,
Yes, that it's part of the RFP that they itemize the buildings, but the
We're
cost
gonna-
should be relative to the size of the job, so we can see that. That would be the responsible thing to do.
our plan is that it will be equivalent of 4 bids, 1 per each building. That's our plan.
But you would take advantage of a volume discount, which would be the responsible thing to do. So. And I would think too that each building would be different. I would think some windows perhaps could be repaired and doors repaired and others would need replaced, rather than just a blanket replacement of doors and windows.
Well, I think the professional will look at that, but the whole reason to do this is, so they're doing it once, one spec book, one set of, it's drawings for each building, but it's one set, goes out one time. And we know how it is, you get four buildings all designed for the same, at one time. They're not gonna have to stop and then start the next one the next year, stop, start the next one the next year. We get it all done all at once. And yeah, I agree, break out each building. But I think we're gonna save money in the long run with sending or giving the contract to one firm to do all
engineer.
4.
Okay.
It's not definitely you'll save money though. It's not definitely you'll save money.
But the,
Definitely you'll save money by going with the $100,000.
I just said go to the plan firm, do all 4 buildings, rather than going to a separate firm for each 4, like you bid it all once. So it's almost like in your tires in your car. You just save money, you don't retire all at the same time, and then go to Walmart, get it one time, come back the next day, get it another time. You don't at least design it once. You don't have to award it contract once, but it's all designed.
Great. I agree with that.
can we amend the
I understand.
can we amend the motion not to include the cap? Because we're basically going to be bidding the project and the board will have the choice as to whether to award or not.
So let's see, who made the motion?
Eric made the motion.
Eric, would you agree to make that amendment?
Yes.
And who did the second? Val? Okay, so you both agree, so.
How long have we known about this?
These windows have been on our radar probably since I was hired.
And any particular reason why we couldn't have done one at a time, or they say do everything?
Well, first of all, we're looking at using CARES money, the ARP monies for it.
I'm saying before all this, that's money, that's what I'm saying before, that they would do the one to fix each school separately. Back then, the prices were lower, they're gonna be higher now.
Well,
But, we saw a problem, we should have attacked it, that's all I'm saying. It shouldn't be going for it once, it's done, since how many years have been here?
but understand that the board at the time chose to handle the high school project and the high school issues first, and that's what they attacked first. At this point, we're looking at this from a standpoint of a preventive move moving forward, And we have this opportunity with the CARES/ARP money that we can use on envelope improvements for the schools, and it just makes sense to look at it right now.
It could have been looked at when the building was being built. It could have been looked at before the building was being built. All I'm saying, it could have been looked at earlier because we knew it existed. That's all I'm saying.
I think my question would be, are we keep saying we're using the CARES money or, that type of thing. Before we exhaust that money, are we sure these are the priorities?
Susan?
Like, do we know that could there be something that comes up in 6 months that it would be better used for? Or are we just gonna just
This
go
is,
through the money before we're
No.
sure of what the big picture is?
the window projects are the biggest issue that we see from a facility standpoint at this time. Could there be an emergency occur, et cetera? Yes. The question would be, does that emergency fall into the ESSER's dollar figures and the ESSER's allocations? And the envelope does. The windows from circulation, heating, cooling, and quality of air falls into that realm, which quite frankly is the reason we are even bringing all four of these to the board at the same time. Our plan is, if we do this, and if the board moves forward, that there will be 2 done 1 year and 2 done the next. So it'll fall into 2 different years of that allotment. The thing is, it's an opportunity to take a hard look at this, or we would have probably said, well, we're going to recommend doing an analysis of 1 building and then say, okay, what's our worst building, and going through it. It would have probably taken 4 to 10 years to complete the entire project.
And Juniata Gap's windows fall in with being poor as those ones?
The windows at the time were the best windows possible. Everybody liked the Pella windows, but they're wood sashes. They're very big windows. The weight of the glass in the sashes, and then you deal with the weathering and the water infiltration on the wood, et cetera, causing expansion, contraction. Basically, the windows were having issues where the bottoms are falling out in some cases and those kinds of things. And it just makes sense to take a good hard look at it, because we have an opportunity to cover it through the monies that have been provided through the federal government.
I guess I had never noticed those when I was in the building at Juniata Gap, so I was just concerned with how those fell in with the other buildings. I know, like, for example, the librarian had always asked for, she wanted some sort of screening on the windows in the library at Juniata Gap because it severe sun damage on the books, and we never had the money. So I was just curious why, that was just my thought. And those, if they fell in with the other
There
buildings.
are 4 buildings, Carl, sorry. We're talking the Gap, we're talking McCullough Arts, we're talking Ebner and Penn Lincoln. The past practice has been, if a bank of windows got so bad that it had to be replaced, we would replace 1 bank of windows in a building, which means you look at the building, you see that large section, but pretty much that section will be replaced. From that standpoint, the district has been maintaining these over the years as different chunks of banks of windows have fallen into the point of disrepair and needing replaced. At this time, we're looking at engineering it from a consistency standpoint and being able to look at that project using ESSER funds and being able to handle a major outlay using ESSER funds moving forward and doing it in a block. And so that's the reason it's 4 buildings, it's 4 engineerings. I understand where Eric's coming from. You want the same engineer to do all 4 buildings if at all possible, because you want to have the same similar products and structures. Because when you go to maintenance a building, I train 1 crew. Well, if it's the same basic design and structure, I only have to in-service them once. I don't have to train them up once. But if I've got 4 different designs, 4 different manufacturers with 4 different sets of specs, now they've got to be trained 4 times, and they have to be an expert all 4 times. It's much easier for us to have a quality maintenance program if we have a level of consistency in design and construction.
So the way the motion is now, it would be to seek RFPs for the engineering and design of the projects for the 4 buildings. We would eliminate the $100,000 amount
Cap.
correct? Cap. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, Ron.
I'll go with Juniata, but that's no.
Okay.
I like to
item-
see a window specialist come in. I'm not a window specialist. I was there, have someone come in and see if it can be repaired or does it need to be replaced. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Okay, next is the Mansion Park field lighting, and this is a motion to approve seeking RFPs for the new lighting at Mansion Park. This would be for the design of it. Okay, it doesn't say there.
It's for the replacement.
For the replacement of it, okay. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Do we have discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, I was out there. Maintenance was out there. The back of the lights by the concession stand, they got a gallon of rust out of there with the shop vac. And our maintenance electrician took pictures of that and said, this is all Band-Aid right here. I've been out at football games out there where the lights have gone out, sections of lights have gone out. Right now, we're putting a Band-Aid on that. I really don't want to be out there when the lights go out during a football game. My opinion, this is a need right here.
Any further discussion? Okay, those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, old business. Any other old business? New business, we have two very nice things happening for the district, a gift agreement with Nancy and Steve Sheets, and also a gift agreement with Jane and Lee Height. And we would need a motion, I believe, to approve those. Is there a second? Second, further discussion? All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Okay, committee chair reports, Sure.
I don't know if this is something that we should address at the education committee, something that we could address at committee of the whole later this month. But it's been brought to my attention, there's some concerns about the flexible instructional day from some teachers and some parents standpoint. So I don't know all the legality of it. I don't know what plan was that was turned into the state and how, we need to carry out that plan, but I was wondering if you could kind of present it to the board so we're aware of the plan and how it's going to roll out.
Well, we have presented it, but we can present it again. Quite frankly, I'm not prepared to do that at this point, at this juncture this evening, but we can do it at the committee of the whole. Present the walkthrough. Basically, we have the ability to do a virtual day.
I mean, I know that we've seen the plan and I'm in favor of doing it, but it wasn't until some concerns were brought to my attention that I wanted to kind of ask about them. I didn't think that it was going to happen tonight. That's why I'm asking if we can put it on the agenda.
We will.
For committee of the whole or have an education meeting.
Absolutely.
I
can
also have
schedule it.
concerns with it as well.
Any committee chair reports? Board president's report. Okay, well, being this is my first night, I'd like to thank you for having the confidence in me to elect me as president. I certainly will be very conscious of my duties and will try to fulfill them to the best of my abilities. One of the duties I do have, though, is about assigning people to committees. And I have a number of thoughts on committees. One thing I think with the committee as a whole, some of our committee work should be done there, where the entire board would be reviewing the information, perhaps the presentation that we had on the lighting at Mansion Park would be a great example of that. So there was a good article by Mike Levin. Maybe, Carl, you have updated versions of this. This is back from my day, where he talks about regulating school board committees and basically asking each committee to review with the administration who is involved with that committee, what the scope of the committee would be, how often you should meet, and actually what you should accomplish, so that when you do meet, you're doing meaningful things. And I really think we should distribute this article to people, but I would also like to get an email sent out, Camilla, to all the board members asking which committees they would like to serve on. And some of you have been on committees for a number of years and have done a great job. And if you want to continue with those committees, certainly respond back, what committees you'd like to serve on. And typically, we all have served on 2 or 3 committees. So just please indicate which committees you'd like to serve on. And that will be the biggie, but I will ask Val to meet with me and we'll go over committee assignments and get those out to you. Okay? That's all I have. Superintendent's report.
At this time, I would like to keep it brief. I want to congratulate all the new members of the board, welcome you here, and also say once we adjourn, we'll be heading out to Marzoni's for the board dinner, thanks to Beard Legal. And the other thing is, we do have a time frame, so we need to get hustling.
Okay.
Sorry, one other question before we adjourn. How do we handle the fulfillment of the vacant position?
Okay, that's going to need to have a open board discussion. That's a good question because we do have a time frame with that, and
30 days. 30 days.
we would need to have I would see a public meeting where we would discuss the procedure that would take place for us to do this. I would also envision that once that procedure is set, once the board decides how you want to fill the position, we'd have to have a process of either nominating or seeking nominees for the position. And then the board at a public meeting voting for that replacement. And if we can't agree, it would go to the court.
If I may, here's the tentative plan. This came up quickly. I would work with Frank and Val and the board, but we would solicit for applications. We'd advertise for applications so we would see what kind of interest we have. I believe with the time frame, we're going to need to meet the first week of January, the board, and either the board's going to want to do interviews or the board's going to want to do, or just review the applicants and decide. If the board decides they want to interview the applicants, that has to be in public. And we would have a meeting that first week of January to interview the candidates and then choose a candidate at that meeting. It would be a special board meeting. The way I see it from a timeline standpoint, we have to do it as by the 5th of January, which is a Tuesday. No, it's a Wednesday. I apologize. The first week of January. So we'd have to do a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday that first week of January to meet the 30-day deadline.
That's not necessarily the rule, the way we have it. We just had an election where 2 people didn't make one election. There is a possibility that we could choose from one of those 2 people to do it instead. But we know that they have a desire to serve on the board.
And that could be the board's choice also.
Right, and that's why I like to have an open discussion. That's just saying we're going to ask for the application, we just have an open discussion how we want to handle it. Personally, that's what I want to handle it. I don't know if everybody else.
Do we want to schedule a work session to talk about it?
Right.
To go and see what we want to do.
I think we have a CTC meeting.
There's a CTC organizational meeting on Thursday. Would the board like me to arrange to have an area so that we can have that discussion right then?
Yeah, I think we need to have that. Is everybody okay with a special meeting after the CTC meeting to discuss the process we're going to use to select the replacement? Yeah.
Well, right.
We need to have people, if we're going to do any kind of advertising and asking people, they need time to think about it and get those letters of interest in. If we go with what Dave is talking about, that would be very expedited process of doing it. So the board will need to decide what we want to do. Bottom line.
So let's do it. I will plan that. I'll set that up. I'm gonna use, if it's all right with everybody, I'm gonna try to get Eric to give us a room over there to do the meeting. And then you guys can discuss exactly how you want to fill the position, and then Camilla and I can move forward with advertising, et cetera. Yes, 24 hours. We're good.
If you would like to get us that information that you have a concern about with the FID days, we'd like to rectify that sooner than later because you never know when the first snowstorm may come, and the first committee, the whole meeting is until the third week of January. So if we could communicate with that, we can get that ready for you Thursday as well.
Okay, Mackenzie, your report.
Yeah, congratulations on your signing.
No, I'm good. Thank you.